The Central is presented by Vans Comics, Cards, and Games. Better players, better gaming. Visit vansccg.com or stop by on Highway 51 in Ridgeland.
Hello, Jaguars. I'm Maddie Howell.
And I'm Miller Widemire, and this is J&N's The Central. And now for our top school headline. Madison Central welcomed its students to Midnight in Magnolias this past weekend. The prom event was full of fun, food, and lots of dancing. Later in the show, J&N's Cameron Nestor will have more on the event.
And now for our top news headline. This week, President Trump threatened to close the U.S.-Mexico border. Many citizens are worried about the economic effects that will come from shutting down trade with Mexico. Tensions are high as we go into the next few days. Now let's go to Miller for our weather forecast.
This weekend is looking warm with a high today of 78. Saturday, the temperature will reach a high of 81, and Sunday it will dip back down to 79 degrees. Despite this nice spring forecast, scattered thunderstorms are expected throughout the weekend. The high will once again reach 81 to start off the new week on Monday. That's your weather forecast. Now let's go back to Maddie.
Thanks, Miller. Madison Central recently partnered with Mississippi Blood Services to put on a school-wide blood drive. Here's J&N correspondent Cate Strong with more.
Although the most giving state, Mississippi has recently come into a critical low in blood. The Mississippi Blood Services is reaching out to others for help.
The blood shortage in Mississippi, it's something that we just can't seem to get ahead of this year. Typically, the majority of our blood comes from high schools. So during the summer, we see a lull in the supply. And this summer, it trickled over into the fall, which then trickled over into the holidays. So we really struggled to play catch up. And this year we saw a nationwide shortage, and the reason that's impactful is because when we are running short in Mississippi, we'll reach out to our partners, Blood Centers of America, and ask for help. Well, with the entire country being in a blood shortage, there wasn't enough to go around. Blood donation is so critically important because every 2 seconds somebody needs blood. Mississippi Blood Services alone needs to draw about 250 units of blood each and every day just to meet the minimum hospital need. And the reason that's critical is because blood does have a shelf life. It only lasts for about 42 days on the shelf, so we have to have a constant supply coming in to replenish what goes out. We hear a lot of times when we ask people, especially those that have never donated before, please come donate. We hear, I'm afraid of needles, I pass out, I don't want to, I don't have time. So to counteract that, I often share stories of our patients. We have an 11-year-old boy with sickle cell who has extremely specific blood needs, and without blood donors, he can't get the treatments that he needs, so he suffers. We actually had an individual who was in a hunting accident a couple months ago that required over 200 units of blood.
Once a year, the Mississippi Blood Services comes to Madison Central hoping to give students an opportunity to donate.
I donated blood partly because I really wanted to know my blood type, but also because my mom's a nurse, and because of all the stories she brings back home, and she talks about all the time how there are babies that don't have enough blood, they don't circulate properly, problems with their heart. And also, like my grandfather, he had to have multiple blood transfusions because of a heart transplant and other things. It's just a lot of stuff in my family, it's wrapped around that. And so I knew that there was a really big need for it. And I knew that there's a reason people give blood, and it's to help other people because it literally saves their life. And so I really wanted to help people who may one day, I don't know, help me in the future.
The Mississippi Blood Services needs your help. Please, if you can, donate today. This has been Cate Strong with J&N.
Thanks, Cate. Madison Central's own Peyton Sills recently participated in the Presidential Marine Band competition, and he won the whole thing. J&N's Mark Troyer has more on the story.
The Madison Central Band is a distinguished group who has won many awards and provided students with great opportunities. Peyton Sills, a senior at MC, performed at the President's own U.S. Marine Band competition.
Out of the 5 finalists chosen to perform, Peyton won first place, which includes a $2,500 scholarship and an opportunity to perform as a guest soloist with the U.S. Marine Band. The Marine Band is the oldest of the U.S. Marine Bands and is the oldest professional music group in the United States. This is a very prestigious performance of which only 114 applicants applied. We wanted to see what made Peyton different from the rest, and in an effort to know more, we interviewed him, his mom, and his band director, Mr. Reynolds.
Well, the Marine Band is the first commissioned band by the U.S. Congress. And the reason they are titled the President's Own is they have played for every president since their founding. And they're the only military band, well, not the only, but they play for almost every function that happens at the White House.
Through my years at Madison Central, I've studied a lot about my instrument, studied about, different ways to approach things and different ways to practice. And it's always an evolutionary aspect to my playing that, I'll continue to perfect as the years go by.
I started teaching him in the 6th grade when he was a beginner 6th grade student, and as he has matured, his confidence level has increased dramatically because his practice level has increased, and his work ethic has definitely increased over the past few years. He listens to tons of videos and master classes on his on YouTube channels, and he researches various wind ensembles and players, and he has just turned into a researcher and a musician in the past 6 years. I'm very proud of him.
I probably started working on this piece last May and worked on it to submit my recording in November, and I've been keeping it up since. So.
They're complicated pieces of music, all 5 of the finalists that played. They're extremely difficult pieces of music. Most high school students do not play that level of literature. We're talking, most people don't play that level of literature if they're a music major till they're a sophomore or junior in college, I mean, realistically. So these are the top high school students in the country.
This has really been a positive light on our band program and in our school, because nobody from Mississippi's ever done this before, has achieved this level as a high school musician. So this is something that at Madison, I hope other kids will look at it and say, if he can do it, I can do it, even if it's in 10 years, and let it be something for posterity as well.
Madison Central students always do a great job of shedding positive light on our school, and Peyton Sills is no different. He will perform on March 31st with the Marine Band in Washington, D.C. Congratulations again, Peyton, on your outstanding accomplishment. This has been Mark Troyer with JNN.
Thanks, Mark. As we mentioned earlier, prom was held this weekend. JNN's Cameron Nestor has more on what goes into planning such a big event.
This year's prom theme is Moonlight and Magnolias. We sat down with a few members of the prom committee to gain more insight on this special night.
So how the prom committee came up with the theme was, we kind of sat down in SGA, like each class gave their ideas for a theme, and then we voted for it, and then our sponsors took it to the prom committee and let us know which one they liked the most.
We communicated with Allie Holmes, co-sponsor of SGA, to discuss what all went into creating this special night. To come up with the theme, the prom committee and the junior SGA members spent a lot of time trying to come up with an original idea that would appeal to everyone. Pinterest and different magazines were their best friends. To prepare for prom, everything including the invitations, tickets, t-shirts, florists, food, and DJ is ready to go. With it being less than 2 weeks away, the prom committee cannot wait for the actual event.
Well, my opinion, being born and raised in Madison, and knowing that magnolia is our state flower, I just think magnolia means elegance, just a white owl, just with trees and white flowers. Personally, I was a little confused about the theme because it started out with Dorothy, so I thought, okay, it's gonna be Emerald City, all green. But I like the theme now that I think about it, and I feel like the junior SGA put a little bit more thought into it. So I like it.
Okay, SGA, to help set up for prom, has kind of done just about a lot of everything, from choosing the theme to decorations to the date to t-shirts, the invites and tickets. We've kind of just helped put it all together.
Made the senior class feel honored, in my opinion, because it was so seclusive to only our grade.
A lot of work and preparation has gone into this event, so it will truly be a night to remember. This has been Cameron Nestor with JNN.
Thanks, Cameron. The S.A.V.E. Promise Club brings awareness to both self-violence and violence in schools. JNN correspondent Kelsey Mayhan gives us more insight on this new pivotal club.
In 2017, Sandy Hook Promise joined forces with S.A.V.E., or Students Against Violence Everywhere Promise Club. in an effort to end gun violence in schools all across America. Not only does it promote school safety, but also kindness and awareness in the community. This club has now come to Madison Central under the leadership of Mrs. Holmes.
The S.A.V.E. Promise Club's goal is to promote the signs that a student or a teenager is going to commit acts of violence against themselves or others. I definitely want to grow it and grow it into a way that impacts not only our school family, but also the community in Madison as a whole.
Teachers aren't the only advocates for the S.A.V.E. Promise Club. Many student leaders are taking the initiative as well.
So far, the S.A.V.E. Promise Club has united quite a few clubs together to work on what we just got finished with, which was Say Something Week. We had different activities each day trying to unite the student body, just to let each other know that we're in it together, we're in it for each other, and that we are a family, and family does the hard things for each other.
I really support the idea of sitting with someone alone at lunch, reaching out to people who you may not normally talk to. I think that they're just as valuable as the star of the football team.
I joined the club because this is honestly something that I'm really passionate about, uniting the student body and again making sure that students know their importance and know their worth, because I think that will solve a lot of harmful behavior.
I hope that it gets bigger and bigger, and I really hope that it encourages people to kind of step out of their friend groups and reach out to the people who might feel lonely and might feel alone.
As a senior from Iowa City who witnessed gun violence firsthand once said, "Change will not come on its own. We have to make it for ourselves." The S.A.V.E. Promise Club is a chance for Madison Central students to make change in our community. This has been Kelsey Mayhan with JNN.
Thanks, Kelsey. Before we go, we would like to say thank you to all of our senior staff members, as this is their last episode with us. Don't worry though, Jags. Our staff for next year will be back for one more episode on May 3rd. I'm Miller Widemire.
And I'm Maddie Howell, and this has been
JNN's The Central.